The concentration camp known as Alligator Alcatraz apparently was not able to keep records, not very good at it or something, as now the hundreds of people who were once held at the Florida facility are gone. They've vanished. They're not in federal records anymore. Nobody knows where they're at. Nobody knows. In fact, lawyers are now accusing authorities of running what they called a detention black hole. That's right. Immigrant advocacy groups told the site El Paz or El Paz that detainees that were once held at the facility west of Miami at an old airfield had disappeared from ICE databases, okay, from the Immigration and Customs Enforcement's online locator. And searches for these people, for these detainees, now yield a message: call the Florida Department of Corrections for details, which, of course, ain't going to get you nowhere. Ain't going to go where, ain't going to get you nowhere at all, at all, at all. So they're just missing. These people are just gone. They're just gone, gone. That's not a good thing. In fact, that's a terrible thing.
Bing, 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 boom. It's gone.
They're gone. They're gone. Luis Sorto of Sanctuary of the South, which has challenged restrictions on attorney access at this concentration camp, said plaintiffs in a lawsuit were moved elsewhere but never appeared in ICE's tracking system. The ACLU, which filed a case, described the center to El Paz as a black hole, noting that some of the people were missing, effectively off the radar of the immigration system. Their lawyers and families often don't know where they are or even how to contact them. I'm thinking that this should be a much bigger story here, and yet it's not. These people are just gone. Who knows what the regime did to them, where they are, or even if they're alive. Now, remember, many of the people who were sent to this concentration camp, okay, they were not criminals. They had no criminal records, a large majority of them. And even the ones that did have criminal records, they didn't deserve to go missing, okay? They don't deserve what is going on. They didn't deserve to be in that area in the first place. Eunice Show, a senior staff attorney at the ACLU's National Prison Project, told the website, the ICE's persistent refusal to update detainee locations is a significant obstacle to effective attorney-client communications, undermines due process, and is yet another hallmark of the detention system's cruelty. Obviously, it is illegal for, to keep people away from their attorneys. I'm pretty sure that that's, there are laws against that, okay? Everyone, and I mean everyone, has a right to due process. It is the law. It is the law. It doesn't matter if you are here illegally or not, okay? If you are in the United States, you have the right to due process. Secondly, by the way, it is important to have due process because it is the only way that you can prove that you are actually here legally. Okay, if you don't have that due process and you get arrested because you look Latino, because they are allowing you to do so, the Supreme Court allowed that, so they can racially profile you and arrest you, even if you're an American citizen, and then deprive you of the due process for you to prove that you're an American citizen. And so you end up sitting in detention indefinitely, even though you could easily prove, if you have your due process, that you are an American citizen. They will not let you. Understand how this is played. You understand what is going on here, how this is a massive violation of people's constitutional rights, the constitutional rights of Americans, as well as people who are here that legally but are non-citizens, and also people who are undocumented as well. All of this is a violation of their rights. And that's why, by the way, I think that is the reason that this regime has hidden them. So that they cannot assert their rights, so that they cannot prove that they are citizens, that they cannot tell their stories. The stories of the horrific conditions and treatment at the hands of this, I believe to be a criminal, anti-human regime. Okay? Now, how many people disappeared? Because I said this should be a pretty big story, so it should be a lot of people, right? Well, unfortunately, that's exactly what's going on here. The Miami Herald on Tuesday had a report that by late August, about 800 detainees were no longer listed in the ICE database, while about another 450 were listed with no location. Only the instruction of call ICE for details. Attorney said that this vague notation could mean transfer, could mean deportation, or continued detention without any transparency. That is over 1,200 people who are just gone. We don't know where they're at. We don't know. Now, in the Herald's reporting, they described one particular case of a Guatemalan man deported before his bond hearing. Yeah, bond hearing. You're supposed to have a bond hearing. Nope. Illegally deported. Okay. And a Cuban man who vanished for more than a week after ICE told his family he was in California, only for him to turn up in Mexico. I mean, his mother told the news site, quote, that this entire experience is like psychological torture. Well, that is the point. The cruelty is the point. Okay, this isn't an accident. It's not an accident that this is happening. It's not an accident that there are allegations of poor conditions in Alligator Alcatraz that surfaced almost immediately after they threw it together. At great cost to the taxpayer, by the way. I mean, you had sweltering heat, giant-ass bugs, okay? Rotten food, people sleeping on the floors, floods, all of that, I think is by design, okay? They took, in Florida, one of the worst places they could find, and stuffed hundreds of people in it, simply for the crime of not being white. And now, many of them have been seemingly dropped off the face of the earth, no longer to be found. I cannot imagine what them or their families are going through. But I'm sure Stephen Miller can. I'm sure it gives him great pleasure and satisfaction to think about the suffering that these people, many of whom are innocent, are enduring. Hell, it's probably the only way you can get it up at this point, okay? I mean, it's absolutely disgusting what's happening here. I just hope that when this nightmare comes to an end, that we are able to find these people, reunite them, restore the families that have been ripped apart, and families that have yet to be or will be ripped apart by this cruel and vindictive racist regime. Okay? I just hope that we can do something to restore the humanity of these people that has been completely and utterly disregarded by this regime. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please like, share, subscribe, hit the bell icon in order to get notified whenever a new video is released. And if you want to support independent, progressive media through this difficult time where it seems like everybody is shutting down, you can become a member on our YouTube page, you can become a subscriber on Facebook, or you can go to my Patreon. It's patreon.com/Jeff Waldorf. Thank you.